Hello, televiewers of Media Prime Television. Here on to your favorite bilingual program, The Brief, which is always dedicated to the review of striking headlines in the papers. On today's edition of the program, the newspapers are focusing on the Constitution Laws Committee, which met yesterday to have a review of the nation's constitution and some provisions of the constitution. The newspapers are carrying the information this morning, and they are asking if there is there is going to be a constitutional amendment in the country. And still in the papers, we shall be talking about other issues, especially the issuance of 6,000 identity cards to Central African refugees in the country by state authorities of this nation. Bomotonguina, Gwladys is here. Let's find out what she gathered for us in the French language newspapers. Bonjour Gwladys.
Bonjour Lasha, bon début de semaine à vous.
Bon début de semaine à toi aussi et à nos téléspectateurs.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à vous, fidèles téléspectateurs de My Media Prime Télévision, et au plaisir de vous retrouver pour cette autre édition de Debrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse. Alors, ce matin, nous allons débuter avec le journal Mutation Quotidien. Le journal Mutation Quotidien qui nous parle, lui, en grand titre de prestations consulaires, le point d'impact. Les demandes de visa se feront donc désormais via Internet grâce au contrat signé entre le gouvernement et l'entreprise Impact Palmarès. Les détails sont donc en page 5 de Mutation Quotidien ce matin. À sa page 4, le journal nous parle de frayeur à Yaoundé. En effet, une bombe a explosé dans la cité capitale Yaoundé. En page 7, le journal nous parle toujours de Yaoundé et de Douala, le trafic ferroviaire, train express, 1 an déjà. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, avec Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune qui nous parle en grand titre du championnat MTN Elite One. Coton Sport qui sort donc champion de la dite compétition. Le club de Garoua a remporté le championnat hier devant son public après avoir fait un match nul, 1-1, puis par tir au but, 3-2 lors de la finale des playoffs contre Edding Sport de la Ligue. Les détails sont donc en page 28 et 29 de Cameroon Tribune ce matin. Nous poursuivons avec le Messager qui nous parle d'un grand homme. Le Messager nous parle de Félix Ntonyembok, une vie d'indomptable, c'est du moins ce qu'a intitulé le journal Le Messager ce matin. Vie et mort de l'administrateur civil principal et ancien ministre sous Aïdio et sous Paul Biya, l'homme qui a donc créé le label Lions Indomptables, il tient sa révérence à 88 ans. Il s'agit donc de Félix Ntonyembok. Les détails sont en page 1 du Messager ce matin. À sa page 11, le journal nous parle de CAN féminine 2022. Les Lionnes sont donc sans croc. C'est du moins ce que révèle le journal Messager ce matin. Nous poursuivons avec l'anecdote. L'anecdote parle en grand titre du président du MRC. Le journal nous présente ici des révélations sur le boycott des législatives et municipales 2022 par le président du MRC. Nous continuons, mesdames, messieurs, avec Émergence. Émergence parle, lui, en grand titre du Cameroun, les prévisions donc macabres que nous présente le FMI en ce qui concerne le Cameroun. Les détails sont en page 3 du journal Émergence ce matin. À sa page 5, les subventions de l'État. Samuel Eto'o demande donc avoir reçu 550 millions de francs CFA de subventions de l'État en ce qui concerne la FECAFOOT. À sa page 4, le journal nous parle de l'OAPI. Le mandat du DG a été renouvelé. Nous restons toujours dans le même journal Émergence qui nous parle de l'huile végétale au Cameroun. L'État qui approuve donc le prix du litre d'huile végétale à 1500 francs CFA. Les détails sont donc en page 7 du journal Émergence quotidien ce matin. Nous clôturons donc avec l'info à chaud. L'info à chaud qui nous parle donc des décisions prises dans le MRC face à la candidature de Michel Ndoki. La vice-présidente demande donc de voter Camto. Les détails sont donc en page 3 du journal L'info à chaud ce matin. Voilà tout, mesdames, messieurs, pour vos titres en langue française. Place à la découverte des titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Gwladys. Bomotonguina. Let's kickstart with the Guardian Post newspaper this morning. The newspaper is interested in what I told you in my introduction. And let's begin, first of all, with what is happening in Akwaya, in Manu division of the Southwest region, where CPDM MP blames worsening amber atrocities on government negligence. The member of parliament, MP of the ruling CPDM or ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM party for Akwaya Manu division of the Southwest region, Honorable Aka Martin Twaga, has blamed what he terms ongoing genocide in the subdivision on government negligence. He was speaking recently. You can read more on page 10 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Let's talk about cholera. Cholera in the country. The paper tells us on page 6 that cholera deaths rise to over 164, at least 8,000 cases confirmed across the regions that have been hit by the said epidemic. You can read more in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Over there in Konsamba, in Mongo division, in the Mongo division of the littoral region, man beats wife for speaking mother tongue to kids. The details of that story is on page 3 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Let's talk about some security forces or security and defense forces that have received a medal from President Paul Biya. The paper tells us on page 5 that Biya Knights raises security forces to higher ranks. Several members of the country's defense and security forces have been honored with national state medals of distinction. The military officers were honored by President Paul Biya, who is also Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the country. The medals awarded the deserving uniformed men are in recognition of their selfless services to the nation. They were decorated during a brief ceremony Friday, July 1, 2022, which took place in strict military fashion. More details on page 3 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. We take you to talk about government partnering with French Development Agency. As the paper writes, government French Development Agency brainstorm on improving vocational training across the national territory. The Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training and other ministers or ministries is partnering with the French Development Agency, FDA, to fine-tune strategies and or strategies aimed at improving vocational training in the country. The capacity or a capacity workshop ongoing or grouping officials of the concerned institutions were held in its effect. That was in this effect yesterday in Yaoundé, the political capital of Cameroon. We take you now to the Post. The Post newspaper this morning is focusing on the Bamenda-Babaju stretch of road, which, according to the paper, remains travelers' nightmare almost 1 year after PM's political sweet talk in Bamenda. The paper digs several layers by telling us that it is almost a year now since Cameroon's Prime Minister and Head of Government Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute assured that construction works at the Bamenda-Babaju stretch of road were starting. However, the route has remained a nightmare to population plying it, as no work has been done since the PM's promised promised works were going to resume on that stretch of route close to a year ago, while on a peace mission to Bamenda, as the paper tells us last year. John Gute raised the aspiration of the people that work was going to commence as soon as he landed in Yaoundé, the nation's political capital. And still in the Post newspaper, the paper is telling us that Yaoundé has once again been hit by an explosion at a local market called Mokolo in Yaoundé was heard, as the paper tells us. That was over the weekend, and 3 persons are said to have been wounded in that explosion. We leave the Post newspaper. Before that, let's talk about Human Rights Watch report that has indicted Ambazonia fighters for grave rights abuses in those English-speaking regions of the country. The fresh report cite cases or 22 cases of incidents, while 7 persons, according to the report, were brutalized and killed by those Ambazonia fighters in the Northwest and Southwest region. We end this morning with the Eden newspaper. The Eden is focusing on what the paper terms presidential succession question. Constitutional Laws Committee meets post of Vice President eminent. That's a question the Eden newspaper is asking this morning. You can read more on the meeting which held yesterday at the National Assembly, bringing together MPs who brainstorm, especially those of the Constitutional Laws Committee, to talk about the eminent post or the creation of the post of Vice President in the country. Thank you for watching, televiewers of My Media Prime. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions. As usual, Maitre Alex Ndive, who is our permanent consultant, is joining us on the line to London while we await the arrival of another consultant in the studio. Maitre Alex, good morning and a happy week start.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning, Gwladys. Good morning to and beautiful people of Cameroon. I should let I hear you from my speech that I have a device on my slower and clearer. So sometimes I'm a question that I can hear you from this audio. I might be slower in answering a question. So please start again.
Okay, Gwladys, Bomotonguina. We begin with Maitre, and of course, yesterday, Maitre, the MPs of the Constitutional Laws Committee met, and the Eden newspaper is talking about that meeting, asking if the creation of the post of Vice President eminent, is that the reason why those people met?
Yes, that I understand some point in to Constitution of the Constitutional Committee. What is Constitution set of principles that you use to account?
Apparently the lines are not the best this morning, Gwladys Bomotonguina. And like I was mentioning, the MPs of the Constitutional Laws Committee met in Yaoundé at Palais de Congrès yesterday, and the Eden is questioning. Many people are still awaiting the results of that meeting, whether the law has finally, a bill has finally been tabled when it comes to the creation of the post of Vice President of the country. Do we really need the post of a Vice President in Cameroon right now?
La question à se poser, c'est qu'adviendra-t-il du Premier ministre? Est-ce qu'on va totalement enlever le Premier ministre ou il y aura un vice-président et un Premier ministre? Là, ça fait une cacophonie. Et comme on a l'habitude au Cameroun d'avoir plusieurs personnes qui ont presque le même poste, on a les ministres, puis on a les ministres délégués, puis on a, c'est-à-dire les mêmes positions, mais plusieurs personnes.
Dans la région, on a
oui.
le président du conseil.
On a l'habitude de créer des postes uniquement pour enlever l'argent du Cameroun et donner aux individus qui ne nous servent à rien, absolument à rien. Ça ne nous sert absolument à rien. Ce que nous, on a besoin en tant que Camerounais, on a besoin d'un Cameroun qui est bien dirigé, un Cameroun qui est équitable pour tous les Camerounais, un Cameroun où les Camerounais se sentent à l'aise, où les Camerounais se sentent dans leur pays, où les Camerounais se sentent en sécurité, où les Camerounais peuvent manger à leur faim. C'est de ce Cameroun dont on a besoin. On n'a pas besoin de vice-premier, de vice-présidence au Cameroun. On n'en a vraiment pas besoin. Ça, ce sont moi je vais le dire, hein, ce sont des manipulations de l'Europe occidentale. On n'en a vraiment pas besoin. Jusqu'à quand est-ce que nos leaders vont continuer à se faire mener par le bout du nez, à prendre des décisions qui ne servent absolument à rien à leur population? Jusqu'à quel niveau?
Don't you think that the presidency actually needs this?
On n'en a pas besoin.
No, everything has to do with succession. Because right now there's a lot of confusion that should, you know, if the president is finally... If he is incapacitated, who is supposed to actually take over?
C'est un royaume.
No, Gwladys, we have the Senate president who is also very old. The president of the National Assembly, or the Speaker of the National Assembly, very old. So at the end of the day, there's this confusion, you know, when it comes to succession.
On a un premier ministre, oui ou non?
There's a prime minister, of course.
Alors, c'est quoi le problème? On a un secrétaire d'État, oui ou non? C'est quoi le problème?
We are talking about constitutional successors.
Mais on a des personnes qui peuvent, je pense que c'est quand même orienté. Au cas où peut-être le président n'est pas valide, le président du Sénat n'est pas valide, on a une succession de personnes qui peuvent assurer l'intérêt. But the problem now is that there are some people who apparently have been tagged in Cameroon as being very powerful and they have been acting unconstitutional. Do you have the impression that these people, we don't want to call their names, some of them, President Paul Biya has delegated his signature to some of them. Yeah. Do you have the impression that it is a move to bring these people who have been accused of acting unconstitutionally to now have their full constitutional rights to perform the duties of the head of state? Si effectivement on se sent obligé d'avoir ce poste, parce que moi je vois pas l'intérêt en réalité, je vois pas. Ça va juste servir les intérêts de la personne qui va se mettre là et les intérêts des personnes.
Most often we always see the Secretary General of the Presidency is performing most of the duties of the president at time. We hear signature as on high instruction of President Paul Biya. Ngongo has signed
on en a vu des centaines de lettres.
Cameroonians are questioning that he is doing those things unconstitutional. Do you have the impression that Ngongo is about to be legalized to begin to perform the real duties of states?
J'ai l'impression, à écouter ta question, j'ai l'impression que l'information ici, ou la véritable question, c'est est-ce que Ferdinand Ngongo essaye d'avoir une position légale maintenant en tant que personne qui peut diriger le pays normalement? C'est pour ça que peut-être le poste de vice-président est en train de vouloir être créé. Parce que beaucoup de personnes,
accused by constitutional lawyers, Cameroonians, politicians of acting unconstitutionally.
Parce qu'effectivement, beaucoup de personnes,
we saw him at the parliament with other ministers, they were there, and there was even talks, or there were even talks that they came to drop that bill, but it is this time around that we are hearing things like that.
La réalité, c'est que c'est vrai que la majorité des Camerounais aujourd'hui se posent la question de savoir si le pays est dirigé par Ferdinand Ngongo ou dirigé encore par Paul Biya, parce qu'on a vu effectivement des centaines de lettres signées sous haute instruction du chef de l'État, Ferdinand Ngongo, secrétaire d'État. Donc, du coup, au jour d'aujourd'hui, effectivement, lorsqu'on voit cette assemblée, et on se pose la question de savoir est-ce que Ferdinand Ngongo ne voudrait-il pas cimenter donc effectivement sa place? C'est la question que beaucoup de Camerounais se posent.
Le Gardien Post qui a parlé de Philemon Yang.
Non, mais on a encore mis Philemon Yang de côté, parce que même le même Cameroun Tribune disait qu'il y a des gens qui ne sont pas pour que Philemon Yang prenne cette position de vice-présidente. Donc, et même j'ai un problème. Même s'il faille qu'on crée ce poste, est-ce que ce n'est que ces mêmes personnes-là qui ont eu à gérer le pays depuis des décennies aujourd'hui qui peuvent toujours être dans ces positions-là? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas les jeunes qui peuvent occuper ces fonctions? Est-ce que nous, jeunes, on ne peut pas occuper... Est-ce que les jeunes
sont courageux,
non.
Ils sont prêts?
Non. Les jeunes sont prêts, ils sont courageux. Moi, je suis jeune, je suis prête, je suis courageuse. Donc, oui, c'est la vérité. C'est la vérité. Est-ce que ce n'est que eux qui peuvent gérer ce pays? Non. On ne peut pas quitter toujours les mêmes gens, les mêmes noms. Philemon Yang, les mêmes personnes toujours qui vont se placer dans les mêmes postes de direction, dans une même gouvernance. Et puis, on a l'impression que le Cameroun n'avance pas. C'est normal, le Cameroun ne peut pas avancer parce qu'on a besoin de nouveaux, on a besoin d'une nouvelle façon de penser, on a besoin d'un nouveau sang. On a besoin des jeunes qui vont apporter une fraîcheur dans l'administration du Cameroun.
Crisis that we have at hand now, we have the Boko Haram insurgencies up north, we have the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest region, we have the refugee crisis in the east region of the country, we have also, kidnapping for ransom in the Adamawa region, and then we have other crises, land problem in the littoral region. Do you think that the post of vice president or vice president would actually solve this problem?
Ça ne va pas résoudre le problème.
When Parliament meets, instead of talking of important things, they are talking about the creation of the post of vice president.
Ça ne va pas résoudre le problème du Cameroun. J'aurais aimé qu'ils se réunissent pour parler du problème dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest. Comment est-ce qu'ils vont résoudre le problème dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest? Comment est-ce qu'ils vont résoudre effectivement ce problème de Boko Haram?
But the Constitutional Laws Committee meeting, don't you think they might want to see into the form of state? Maybe Cameroon goes back to federation, start talking about federation?
Je suis sûre et certaine qu'ils ne vont pas parler d'une chose pareille. Non, ça ne protège pas leurs intérêts, donc ils ne vont même pas en parler. S'ils en parlent, peut-être c'est un briefing. Ils ne vont pas en parler. Ça ne sera pas un point de discussion. Non. Ils ont leur projet, c'est les postes. Quelle position qui est-ce qu'on peut mettre à telle position pour que les choses continuent à fonctionner de telle manière afin que telle personne ne soit pas gênée dans ses actions. Mais je dis, je suis camerounaise et je suis jeune et nous sommes fatigués de voir ces mêmes personnes qui ont géré le pays depuis des années continuer à gérer le pays dans les mêmes fonctions. Quand ils quittent ici, il est là-bas. Quand ils quittent ici, il est là-bas. Non, on est fatigués de voir ça au Cameroun.
Wait, Gwladys, we stay in Yaoundé. There's trouble again in Yaoundé. An explosion was heard in a local market, that's Marché Mokolo in Yaoundé, over the weekend, wounding 3 persons. So a sophisticated capital city, explosions recurrent. What is happening with security intelligence in Yaoundé these days, Gwladys?
La réalité, c'est que c'est triste, mais c'est vrai. On n'est pas véritablement en sécurité au Cameroun. Vous savez, un pays qui est en crise, on peut s'attendre à tout. À n'importe quel moment et n'importe où. Ce n'est que normal. Un pays où il y a déjà des attaques quelque part, on peut s'attendre à tout, n'importe où et à n'importe quel moment.
Jusqu'au niveau de la capitale, la cité capitale.
Pourquoi pas? Pourquoi pas? Donc parce que vous avez dit que si Yaoundé respire, le Cameroun va bien. Donc Yaoundé n'a pas besoin d'être explosé par les bombes.
C'est des institutions.
Justement, c'est justement pourquoi c'est la zone la plus ciblée. Et heureusement qu'elle est aussi protégée. Parce que si elle n'était pas protégée comme elle est protégée, on en aurait eu le pire. Hein? On aurait eu le pire. Ça ne serait pas juste les marchés, ça devait être peut-être dans les ministères. Mais heureusement qu'il y a aussi une sécurité là-bas. La question à se poser, c'est qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour que nous, au Cameroun, les Camerounais soient en sécurité? Est-ce que la sécurité des Camerounais est privilégiée? Comment est-ce qu'on fait pour que les Camerounais, au jour d'aujourd'hui, soient en sécurité dans leur pays, se sentent au Cameroun en sécurité et protégés? C'est ça, en fait, la question à se poser. C'est ça la question à se poser. Et pour répondre à cette question, il faut d'abord réussir à résoudre les différents conflits que nous avons dans ce pays. Parce que je prends un exemple. Je ne connais pas peut-être qui a mis cette bombe, mais je prends un exemple au hasard. Ça peut être quelqu'un qui a été frustré hein, dans le nord-ouest ou le sud-ouest. Peut-être il a perdu tout, sa famille est consort. Il a décidé, ok, moi aussi, je vais aller mettre le feu à Yaoundé. C'est possible. Pourquoi? Parce que les gens sont frustrés. Et une personne qui est frustrée, qui n'a plus rien à perdre.
Qui méritait un concours et finalement on a donné à une autre personne.
Quand les gens sont frustrés, on peut s'attendre à tout. Et pour le dire, la vérité, c'est que les Camerounais sont frustrés. La jeunesse camerounaise est frustrée. Il faut juste entrer dans un taxi. Écouter comment les jeunes se plaignent de ce pays.
They are frustrated by who? Are they also hardworking, the young people in the country?
Lasha Kinsley, je voudrais bien savoir à quel âge notre chef de l'État est entré dans l'administration.
Very young.
Voilà. 29 ans. Vous et moi, je suis sûr qu'on dépasse 29 ans aujourd'hui. On n'est pas prêt? Bien sûr qu'on est prêt. La preuve, nous travaillons, non? Voilà. Est-ce qu'on va me dire que tous les jeunes Camerounais qui sont là dehors n'ont pas le potentiel? Ils ont le potentiel. Le problème, c'est que leurs potentiels sont assujettis. Le problème, c'est que leurs potentiels ne sont pas reconnus. Leurs potentiels sont mis dans l'ombre. On ne permet pas aux jeunes Camerounais de s'exprimer.
Ok.
C'est ça le véritable problème.
Apparently, Maître Alex Ndive is back. Maître, can you hear me?
I can hear Gwladys very well. Mr. Lasha, your voice is a little bit slow.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, move on. Apparently, you are using a different device today. The reason why we are having this issue. We'll try to integrate your new device with the system. Don't bother about that. Let's just manage for today, Maître. We're talking about the Constitutional Laws Committee of the National Assembly that met yesterday. And there is imminent creation of the post of vice president in this country. Do we really need that at this moment, Maître?
Yeah, what I was saying that what is a constitution? These are rules and regulation that governs a country, tells you how you run a country, spells out citizens' rights. So at this point in Cameroon now, if we are talking about changing, revising a constitution, it means these people, they have been running a country when something was wrong. It means they have been piloting a plane when there was a wrong pilot. It means they have been driving a car without the right driver. Why now? However, I always come back to this. It's not a theory, it's a fact. Former President of Chad, President Idriss Déby, said it quite clearly on a video that he was forced by the French president to change his constitution rather. Léon Ba, the first president of Gabon, when he was terminally ill, the French government asked him to change the constitution and put on the post of a vice president. After 1 month, he went to France. He was terminally, he died. And they make sure in the constitution that there was not going to be any election in case he died. So Omar Bongo took over after that. Sassou Nguesso, Papa Bonnet, the same thing, all these French African countries. The problem is
Maître, so what are you insinuating? So what are you insinuating?
Say it again.
What are you insinuating?
I'm not insinuating. I said Léon Ba. If you Google, look at the name. All the things I'm saying.
So what are you insinuating will happen in Cameroon? What are you trying to say? That is it the same thing that wants to happen in Cameroon? Is that what you are saying?
I'm just saying, if you look at the pattern, you look at the trend of most French countries, they are just doing what other countries have been doing. The problem is Cameroon is more difficult to do that because of the culture, the English and French. So it's not just like Chad, Gabon, or Democratic Republic of Congo. They have a more difficult issue. And at the moment, why do we want to change the constitution? These same people, they are looking for a way to stay in power forever. If these people, they love that country, they should be looking how to, if we want to change the constitution, we need an independent committee, judges, experts, they should sit and draft a constitution. You don't go to elect them. It's the same people that Mr. Bia elect them. They are the one looking at the election.
No, but Maître, the parliamentarians are performing their duties as per the standing order of the House, and the parliament is
you know something? You keep on calling these people parliamentarians. They don't have waters. They don't have electricity in their place. They don't talk about it. I don't look at them. These are very
so who should I?
Listen.
How should I address them? How should I?
They don't exist. When Ndive became president of Uganda, he abolished parliamentarians for 8 years because they are useless. In short, you don't need parliamentarians to rule Cameroon. I saw something today. They are saying that they have given a bill for the president to change aviation. This is a bill for the president. As if they have power to give the president a bill to do something. They are just following instruction. I saw something in the newspaper. They have decided, the parliamentarians have decided for a bill for the president to do what with aviation. Have they got power to tell Mr. Bia what to do? All this gymnastics, all this window dressing exercise, all this playing to the galleries for what? Do they think we are fools? During 20 May, Mr. Bia came out from the car, they were showing us the skies. They should stop treating people like foolish people. We are not fools. People are sovereign. If they love that country, they should make sure they try to play a fair game for everybody. I've never seen people who are so greedy. Some of them have been working for 50 years. We had the late chief who was minister in 1954 in Nigeria, Chief Mukete. He died as a senator. You have Kabaye Libri have been since almost 50 years. Paul Bia almost 50 years. Chifengi almost 50 years. What are they doing?
No, Maître, in America we have done. The current president of the United States of America, he too has been in power for a very long time now.
He was president for the...
No, senator, he has been occupying several posts in the U.S. I'm talking about the current president of
Biden. My point is,
talking about age should not be a problem.
My point is, there are a lot of people who are competent. These people are depriving those people. We want people who can sit. Look, like if I sit here today, I talk about something about the prime minister. We all are witness. He talked about the Babaju Road not a year ago. And if I stand here on this program, I say he lied. That's English word. Lie means that saying something, then you do not fulfill it. That's lying. So we cannot have adults, grandfathers, and they're lying people from the Victoria Deep Sweeper to Ring Road, and we keep on allowing it. We are the people. You read the Cameroon constitution, it said the people are sovereign, not Mr. Biya. So I don't understand. They say in a country, the leader reflects the people. I don't know whether we are too sheepish. I'm not calling for an uprising, but we should be bold enough to say, look, we want to challenge these people. You cannot be telling me every time in an African country, when things want to change, they want to change the constitution. They have stolen a lot of money. What do they need now? What do they need? They should give people a chance. It took Dubai 50 years to be what they are. We have been living in that country for more than 50 years. But look at our country.
So, Maitre Alex, are you saying that the parliament is useless? They should dissolve the parliament?
What about the parliament? Say it again.
That they should dissolve the parliament. Parliamentarians are useless. Is that what you are saying?
I did not say they are useless. What looks like a deck, walks like a deck, quacks like a deck is a deck. I'm not saying they are useless. It is English word. When you have people, they have problem in their area where they come from. Anglophone problem, getting to 6 years, they cannot talk. In English language, you call them useless. I'm not the one saying it. When you have people, you have rusty water, you don't have electricity. In English language, you say they are useless. I'm not the one saying it. You can open your dictionary. Words are made to describe an action. They are as useless like a pile upon of a sheep, and they call them honorable. They should be calling these people dishonorable. I don't know why they call them what they are honorable about in our country. So it's strange to me. It's a pain. You see people suffering. When I was growing up in that country called Cameroon, hospitals were free. You go there, you don't pay a dime. Now, government is using it to make money on the poor citizen. We need people who are compassionate. We need people who care for our people. That's what we need. We don't need people who hide behind the scene. We know what's the function of the president. When the things are changing, they are afraid. These are people who cannot invest. If you should be in a top position for 50 years, Mr. Biya has been for 50, Kavaye 50, Nyat 50 years, most of them, they have been there for 50 years. If you cannot invest and go on retirement, that's a disgrace. What are they doing there? They have enough money. President Obama once said, if he had a lot of money like African president, he would like to go on retirement and enjoy the money. So what are they doing there? It's crazy.
So, Maitre Alex, if there was supposed to be, or let's say you accept a constitutional amendment, what kind of amendment will you be advising the parliamentarians or the people you call dishonorable be doing?
Say it again.
I'm asking, if you are for a constitutional amendment, what kind of amendment will you be advising the members of parliament to carry on with?
You're talking about advising the people of the Constitutional Committee?
Yes, of course. Yes, you got it.
Do you know something? In life, you have to assess people. There are some people you cannot advise them. I don't know the people who are drafting constitution. I'll tell you without any disrespect to anyone. If you go to any modern democracy, most of the people who are in parliament, majority, they are lawyers. Because in a parliament, you sit there to draft a law. But you see people in Cameroon who don't know anything about the law. They say they are parliamentarians. I'm not saying other professional people could not be. But majority people, when you look all over the world, Obama was a lawyer, Clinton was a lawyer, Tony Blair was a lawyer, Biden is a lawyer, their wife are lawyers. It is about law. Why do you want to go to a place that you don't know what to do? The reason why our parliamentary and constitutional committee, they just sit there, they don't do anything. Somebody like my professor Joseph Owona will draft something, give it to them, they just look at it and clap and send it that they have deliberated. They don't do anything. You cannot sit and be talking about law that you don't know what law stands for. They call them lawmakers, but you look at them, they cannot even spell their name, some of them. It's a fact. I told one in the national dialogue, I know one, I won't call the name. It's one person, an opposition leader, I will just tell you the story. It's the girlfriend who is a senator, and I told her, if you joke, I'll go public and I'll say it. They put her there because an opposition leader is the girlfriend. She's a senator. So that's what people do. And when I look at them, you have conversation with them, they don't know anything. So I'm not surprised why our country... So
how do you salvage, Maitre, you've been saying this thing for a very long time now. You are an international lawyer. How do you salvage your country? You have been saying, oh, you know all these things.
I'm not savage. We are speaking language. If I say Mr.
No, I'm saying that how do you salvage...
I'm not savaging you.
How do you salvage? How do you save your country?
Is that savaging you? I'm just describing an action.
Maitre.
I'm describing you. When I see people, I will sit on this program, Mr. Lasha. What country that you live in? An opposition leader cannot come and debate. A government official cannot come and debate. They cannot talk about the economies. They cannot talk about hospital. They cannot talk about things. Debate with other opposition leaders. They just sit, they hold their back. They cannot debate all of them. I challenge all those people who call themselves politicians in the Cameroon to come and debate with me. Let's talk about issues. Let's talk about things that are affecting our country. The next presidential election will not be decided on personality code. We want somebody who have a social contract and tell the public, tell Cameroonians that this is what I'm going to do if I'm elected for this term. We are not going to vote for a stooge. We are not going to see personality code anymore. We must debate about issues. We have to talk about the French cooperation agreement. Are you going to ask France to stop manufacturing our money? Those are the debates we won with Camto, John Fundi, Forba. We won that debate. Anybody who cannot tell us that they're going to give us real independence by asking France to stop manufacturing our money, we are not going to vote for you. There must be a presidential debate, and our party will put a presidential candidate.
Ok, Gwladys.
Merci beaucoup, Maître. Effectivement, le Cameroun, en fait, on a homologué le prix de l'huile au Cameroun. L'État a homologué le prix de l'huile au Cameroun. Effectivement, le litre est maintenant à 1500 francs. La question à se poser, c'est au regard de l'inflation de tous les produits que nous avons sur le marché, est-ce qu'on ne peut pas parler d'une dévalorisation du franc CFA?
I barely get you. Just strike at
la question c'est est-ce que il n'y a pas d'évaluation d'évaluation, yes. La dévaluation du franc CFA au regard de l'inflation de tous les produits que nous avons sur le marché.
Oh, you're talking about, I've listened to my other device, you're talking about inflation and talking about devaluation of the franc CFA,
yes.
Something of that sort?
Yes.
Well, inflation is about what? Increase in price. It could be cost push inflation or other form of inflation. So to be honest, I don't follow this thing about devaluation. When we talk about devaluation, in those days, I remind me of France, because it's France that is setting our monetary policy. It's France that is deciding on our interest rate. So sometimes I don't want to hear that word devaluation. We know that inflation is persistent increase in price. And yeah. What do we do? Is it about production? Do we have to produce more things, goods and service, demand and supply, scarcity? Those are the things we should look for. At the end of the day, I'm looking for future. We have to stop France making our money. Our money is the heart of any country. You cannot give it to a foreigner to be running our money. What happens when you give it to them? If they say print 1 billion francs CFA, they can print 2 billion and put it in their pocket. How can you give your confidence to a foreigner? So these are the things we have to look at. I know when you start talking about these things, your life is in danger, because Macron was in France to stop, and to Nigeria to stop the echo. Now they say they don't want to use cryptocurrency in the France CFA area because they are scared. They should stop.
So Maitre, with all these things you are saying, how are the authorities in Africa to blame?
Say it again.
With all these things you are saying and the things that you know already, how are authorities in Africa to blame, or head of states to blame, for the underdevelopment or the sufferings of the people?
The point is, I've got your question. How are the people in Africa to be blamed? I'm not talking about people of the Africa. When you say you're president of Nigeria, you're a president, you have certain duties. When you say you're a president of Gabon or Cameroon or Chad or Egypt, you have certain duties. It is spelled out in your constitution. In Cameroon, when you see, I'm sure you don't know this, when this Muzungu, when this Caucasian, they come there, we respect them more than our own people. That's why you see Chinese people beating Africans there, because we don't respect our own. Respect has to start, we as Africans, we have to start respecting ourselves. And we have to look for a peaceful way to tell this president, rather than adoring them. You see, in Nigeria, when you steal money, you go to prison in Nigeria, you come out, there's a big trial, people are blowing their horn, clapping for you for stealing. We have accepted negativity. We have forgotten that there are better things in life. We have to look after everyone, our people. That's why you go to power. You go to power to make people's life better. You don't go to dictate on people. You don't go to impose on your people. You have to show love for your people. You don't hide somewhere. We want to see Mr. Biya. What is Mr. Biya doing in it today? We want to see him. We want to greet him in the streets of Cameroon. It's very important. You don't become a president and hide yourself and only receive Caucasians. You have other ambassadors from Africa, you hardly see them. When he receives a white person, he's smiling. When he sees a black person, he's frowning. So we hate ourselves. Mr. Biya should stop doing those things.
Okay. Metro Alex, over the weekend an explosion was heard at a local market in Yaoundé, Marché Mokolo, and the 3 persons were reported to have been injured in that explosion. Yaoundé again being rocked by an explosion.
Are you talking about an explosion?
Yes, in Yaoundé, the political capital.
Yaoundé?
Yes.
Is it about an explosion in Yaoundé?
Yes, Metro Alex.
Yeah, the point is, Mr. Biya's plan have been, there's problem in Northwest and Southwest. I don't mind. Lorsque, Yaoundé, Respi, Le Cameroon, Vivant. So, but they don't know. The more they keep this thing without solving this problem, it's going to be going bit by bit. We have seen it in where? In Bafoussam, inside Western Province. We have seen it in Littoral. It is moving bit by bit. It will be in Yaoundé. And again, when you see explosion in the street of a country like Cameroon, you start doubting the capacity of the government to govern that country. Why? You see a country like Britain. Britain is #1 enemy in the whole world because of their colonial past, and so there are all sorts of terrorists who are planning to harm Britain every day. But you don't hear every day of explosion in this country because the security services are at work. So if the government, we start seeing something, I know Mokolo Market going up to Madagascar, to Chinga, I know all those areas very well. If we start seeing explosion in the market of our street, it tells you now the government have served its time. It tells you that the government is not ready anymore to maintain law and order.
But this thing also happened. It also happened in France.
The time for the government to go have come.
The
government have served its time.
Yeah.
We thank the head of state for have served that country for that long. They are tired. They cannot do anything anymore. If you stay in one place for so long, you lost your brain. You cannot improvise. What they need to do, they can just live peacefully. They will have immunity and leave us to drive the country forward. They don't have idea anymore. They have lots of idea. What keeps them now in power is the taxpayers' money. People keep up, new people steal it, then you put them in Kondenge. You, the same man in power. Somebody who said that if people don't give these people bribe, Mr. Biya said it, I'm quoting Mr. Biya, there will not be any corrupt person. It's because people give them money. That's what a head of state should say. A head of state who cannot trust his own people will go to Douala and say, "Me voici don't at Douala," as if you're scared in your own country. So Mr. Biya have served his time. He should step down peacefully. He will have immunity and let other people with different ideas move the country forward.
Okay, okay, Maitre Alex. And let's talk about this other case. This one is a clear. We are talking about living together and national integration. And a man in Konsamba, in Mongo division of Littoral region, is now under police custody after he beat his wife for speaking mother tongue to kids.
Are you talking about the Presbyterian Church?
Not at all, Metro. I'm talking about a man who is under police custody for reportedly beating the wife after she spoke mother tongue to the kids.
That's a disgrace. I saw something that is it the one ambassador in Cameroon? He was praising the bilingual commission, yes, stating that they are promoting bilingualism. Listen, I have a difference between institution and bilingualism. Are we not ashamed that we are promoting English, which is an Englishman tribal language, and French in Cameroon? Why we cannot promote our own local language? We are colonizing ourselves as African. I'm not good in certain language, but I wish I could speak Lamso. I wish I could speak a lot of other dialects or languages in Cameroon. It's a disgrace. If the first thing, if I was in power, is to abolish that bilingualism commission. What is it to promote English language and French language? You cannot promote your own local languages. That's a disgrace. And if you look at the constitution of Cameroon, it is written there that they have to promote our ethnicity and different dialects. It is there. The government does not follow their own constitution.
But we have so many tribes in the country, and
listen.
We've not chosen one or two.
I'll tell you how it works.
We've not chosen one or two languages that we'll be using as local language.
Listen, the people. I'll tell you how it has to work. If you were born in Fako, Bakore should be compulsory in the school in that area. If you were born in Mamfe, it should be compulsory. It's our language. We cannot make it disappear on the surface on earth and embrace somebody else's language. If you were born anywhere, Lebiale, school must teach it. In Cameroon, when I was growing, some of my friends in Guakele, they were studying Spanish, German, those things. So why can't we study our own local languages? If you are a Bulu or Beti, they should make it compulsory in that area. That's how it should be. We cannot obliterate our identity. That is part of us. And that's why I cannot wait in 2025 for us to remove this CPDM regime and try to make sure that we follow our own culture rather than forcing us to another person's language. Do you think I'm happy to be speaking English language? When I look at the president of South Africa, when I look at Julius Malema, Amanza, they speak that they think, I'm jealous. I love it. So we cannot be forcing ourselves with something. Unfortunately, I'm speaking English now, or I can talk French. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. It's a disgrace that everybody was born with their own dialogue and culture. I cannot speak it. I don't understand that man who have to beat the wife because he's speaking mother tongue. That's a disgrace.
The wife is from. Excuse me. The wife is from Oku in the northwest, and while the man is a Douala man here in the littoral region.
Say it again.
I said the woman is from Oku in the northwest region, while the man is a Douala native. Are you there?
You say the man is a Douala man, then the wife is from northwest.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, so my point is, you see, sometimes we are in a country, I take it, as a people, we reflect our government too sometimes. When you see the government is promoting bilingualism, that's French and English, a foreign language, then what happens? This man is used to know that you can speak something else. And I don't understand again. I don't want to go personal because we don't know the details of what happened between that man and woman. Because you cannot marry a woman, then you're not happy for the woman's dialect. So I don't know the details. But however, I would like to look at it in a global and national scale in our country that I'll blame the government that have made us to be frightened to speak our own languages that we're born with it. Our language comes first. Our dialect comes first. Dialect is language. If you look at there's no difference. Dialect is a language. I'm surprised that a new country like South Africa have got about 12 official language. In Cameroon, people use excuse that, oh, we have so many. It doesn't matter.
Yes, just to add to what you are saying,
inside our constitution.
Just to add to what you are saying, in Switzerland, we equally have so many local languages, and each region speaks its own local language.
The problem is, if I got your question clearly, these people have an agenda. You see, we thought that colonization or slavery ended. It never. What happened is that they selected some few people, these house slaves, and make all of them president in Africa. So you see, everything in the world, when there's problem in Ukraine, it affects us. Look at Africa. The Democratic Republic of Congo have got the largest diamond, 30% of the world. Ivory Coast have got the largest cocoa, but we are still suffering. I'll tell you something which is a little bit out of topic. When we had the Aijo Biya regime, they were using taxpayers' money to send people on scholarship to come and study. And these people were engineers, these people were doctors. They are here working for the, let me call it white man. I don't like calling them white man because they are not white man. Let me call them that way. They are working for the, how can you take the budget, money for taxpayer and train your engineers and leave them here? We have raw materials in Cameroon. If you are in government, it doesn't need to take you 5 years to say, okay, I want 10,000, 20,000 engineers to come and turn our diamond to this, to come and do ABC. So you were sending these people to come and study abroad. A country like us, let me call it in quote, a poor country. You train your citizens, your best students in Cameroon, just to abandon them for this Caucasian. Is that normal? These people don't understand what they are doing. They don't know how to run a country. So that is why we have to take back our country. There are people, these people are house slaves. They are there deliberately all over Africa. Then we clap for them that they are president. We don't even need president these days today. We have internet. We need a committee. We need a committee that they will sit. Then when anything comes, we have internet. People can debate the whole country. We don't even need this type of parliamentarian. When there's issue in Cameroon, all of us can sit, whether it's Zoom, we participate, we come to a conclusion. I don't believe in president anymore. I believe in a country. We don't need president anymore. We need a committee that sits.
Our time is off.
We don't need president anymore. Okay.
Our time is off.
The president of a country, I will abolish the president. We don't need it anymore. We can talk, all of us in a country, and come out with something without having.
Let's begin by talking amongst ourselves to resolve the Anglophone crisis before talking about other issues. Thank you, Maitre. Thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime for taking our time to watch this very first edition of the program for the week, which was produced for us by Christain, Tebong. We were Gwladys, Bomotonguina, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Tomorrow is another day. Bye-bye.